Okay, hello viewers, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about federal disaster assistance and the fact that we're being left up a creek by Trump here in New York, not just because of COVID and their not refusal to pass the bailout for the MTA and our governments, but also because of Isaias. Because we never got a disaster declared in New York from Isaias. So when you look at declared disasters on the FEMA website, you'll notice that there's nothing for Isaias on here. The pandemic was declared, but not Isaias. But when we go and we look at Iowa, and we'll search, you will see that severe storms. There you go. The severe storms declared almost immediately. So, not immediately, within a week. But Trump never came here to tour the damage from Isaias. New York, New Jersey, we never got nothing. All right, because why is that happening? This is politics, and it's the fact that our president is a racist. All right, let's look at the Democrats for let's look at the demographics for Lily White, Iowa, shall we? In fact, let's just, yeah, it's right here. So let's look at the demographics. Race in Iowa, 90% white. So it's a lily white state. It's a lily white state. And these lily white states are getting preferential treatment from the federal government. Let's look at Cedar Rapids demographics. Cedar Rapids was hit very hard by the Derecho. And I'm not saying the Derecho wasn't horrible. It was a horrible disaster. Of course, it should be declared as a disaster. 84% white, 85% white. All right? But so is Isaias. We never got a disaster declaration from Isaias in New York. I do not believe it because it's not coming up on the site. All right? Our governor, Cuomo, declared a state disaster, but Trump never came here and did diddly, and he didn't do diddly squat for us. All right, diddly squat for us. So here's some of the ramifications of that we're going to talk about. If we look at PSCG Long Island, this article here says the cost could cost more than $350 million. And some of it will have to, the federal may be eligible for up to $260 million. Of course, the Newsday isn't letting us read the article, but the reality is that ratepayers could be on the hook to pay for fixing the damage and bringing in all those out-of-state crews. All right? Because, again, Trump won't bail. He won't help us out. You know, I don't think we should send Washington any more money. How about that? And this is the other issue. MTA likely to make deep cuts. This is an old article from July 21st. But the fact is, we need help. And Congress and turtle-faced Mitch McConnell and the orange monster Trump, could care less. They're telling us pretty much to drop dead. Trump to New York, drop dead. We're trying to lobby the government. But they don't care. They don't care that there are going to be major cuts in New York. That there's terrible for the environment. They don't care. They want to screw us. Because that's what this president wants to do. He hates New York. Despite the fact he came from New York, he hates us. Because he's a racist. Meanwhile, Iowa gets everything. Florida gets everything because his little buddy in there is taken care of, all right? And, of course, I can't read this article either because it's saying major bus systems on Long Island weathering pandemic. I already read the article. But ridership's down, and they still may have to consider cuts in the future. Of course, it won't let me read the article, of course, because Newsday is a pain in the neck for that. We could play the video. Let's see if it lets us play. I already saw, yeah. See, it let us watch it, and now it won't let us. Because this kind of stuff should be illegal, by the way. People have a right to know what's going on. But that's a whole nother thing. All right? But the article basically said weathering. Let's see if we can do it this way. Incognito. Try incognito. Sometimes in incognito I can read the article because I really wanted to read this article for you. So Long Island's two major bus systems, and I'll hit print screen. case we can't. So, have been able to withstand the COVID pandemic better than other systems. In contrast to Long Island Railroad in New York City. See what happens? Can't read it. So here's what I'm going to do. I already hit print screen, so we'll do it this way. This is the way we have to get our news on Long Island, folks. In contrast, we've been operating with 60 to 70% of our riders, Nice and Suffolk Transit, although they have not been spared the pandemic financial pain. They lost money because we had to let people in through the rear to have the free, because we wanted to, protect the drivers and stuff, and we had to do the free rides. So Suffolk Transit lost $6.1 million in fares, and Nice, I don't think we have a number for Nice on that article. So hold on, we're going to do this again. I'm going to hit refresh, and we're going to try to scroll down and read the bottom. And I got to be really quick with my print screen here. All right, hit the print screen, and then pull this up. This is what you got to do. So we need to remind riders that it's still a fantastic value. There's been new protocols, obviously. They've been wiping down benches. Both agencies are complying with the state's requirement that people wear masks. But the problem is still there's some people out there that aren't wearing masks at all. All right, so I got to do this again, and I got to get to the bottom of the article, which is really where the most important part that I want to read to you is. All right, let's see if we can get that there. This is such a way I got to read it, but all right. So, while both bus systems are adding operating costs, uncertainty remains over how the future will be impacted. Suffolk County already anticipates a 20% reduction in state transit aid. Laura Kern says she's committed to ensuring that service remains available for all essential first responders. Many essential workers and responders would not have been able to serve the public when we were at our most vulnerable if it was not for NICE. From transporting frontline grocery stores and employees and nurses, Nassau's abilities to crush the curve and tamp down coronavirus would have been seriously hampered without this key public transit component. NICE and Suffolk Transit have struggled recently with budget cuts. Those cuts predate the pandemic, and unfortunately the pandemic is only going to make municipal, I can almost tell you for sure, it's going to be on the table, basically, it says at the end there. So, we have to worry about cuts to bus service, too. Again, because the Orange Monster and Turtle-Faced Mitch McConnell and all the other racist people out there in the federal government won't bail us out. Because that's really what it boils down to is racism. Iowa gets all the help, right? Iowa gets all the help, but we don't get anything. All right? Yeah, we're going to get to that in a moment. All right? Here's another example. Nassau County facing possible $334 million deficit could require drastic layoffs and a tax hike. All right? And this could also hit buses and cause a 60% tax hike. Again, because the federal government, it was Trump that left us wide open for the pandemic. All those airlines flew into New York, spreading the coronavirus here. And yet Trump has some nerve refusing to pass another bailout. He has some nerve. Trump is the worst piece of trash, racist scum president that I've ever seen in my life. All right? The worst. It's so blatantly obvious. Yeah, they get Cedar Rapids gets it because they're lily white. Of course, but New York doesn't get diddly squat because we're not lily white. How is this stuff even legal? Trump. This guy right here. What a piece of trash. He was born in Jamaica. He doesn't care about Jamaica, Queens. He doesn't care about New York City. He only cares about his own kind. And it's very important that he be defeated in the election. But then you have stuff like this. Biden wants to lock down the country and mandate a vaccine. So basically this article says here that a joint interview with Democratic presidential Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris is set to air, and during which Biden would promise to shut down the country if scientists recommend that step as necessary. It's not clear. I haven't seen the interview yet, but this kind of talk here, Joe Biden, man, you can't be pushing these lockdowns and shutdowns. They've hurt the economy, caused tremendous damage. What you need to do is mandate mask use. And people who don't want to wear masks must be dealt with aggressively. All right? But to punish everybody is the wrong thing to do, Joe. And I'm talking because I want Joe Biden to win. All right? We can't have 4 more years of Donald Trump. All right? But when you have people like this, people are gonna get disgusted, and they're gonna say, "Well, Trump didn't shut us down, so we're gonna vote for Trump." And here's the one: I would just shut it down. I would listen to the scientists. Joe Biden said. So let's see if I can actually here. Let's see. Actually, give audio.
And the flu combining, which many scientists have said is a real possibility. Born in come January, and we have coronavirus and the flu combining, which many scientists have said is a real possibility. Would you be prepared to shut this country down again?
I would be prepared to do whatever it takes to save lives, because we cannot get the country moving until we control the virus. That is the fundamental flaw of this administration's thinking to begin with. In order to keep the country running and moving and the economy growing and people employed, you have to fix the virus. You have to deal with the virus.
So if the scientists say, shut it down?
I would shut it down. I would listen to the scientists.
Okay, it's not as bad as this article makes it seem like it to be. Look, Joe Biden is our only hope, all right? We cannot have 4 more years of Trump, all right? If Trump gets reelected, New York is going to go, the state is going to die, all right? We're going to die, all right? Our economy will crumble, all right? At least with Biden, he'll get the aid through to us. He'll help us out. He'll get the Gateway project. He'll make sure that the transit is funded. Trump doesn't care about New York, all right? He doesn't care about New York. What more point do I have to say about Trump, all right? All he cares about is his preppy lily white friends living in their lily white enclaves, and they're lily white enclave states too, like Iowa now. That's why so many lily white people are going there, so they can be with their own kind. That's great. That's great. What about those of us who don't want to be with their own kind and happen to like diversity, Mr. Trump? So Trump is a racist. He's a racist piece of scum. He needs to be thrown out on Election Day. That's why I made this video. Even though that story with Biden, they made it seem like he wanted to only if it got really bad again. Only, what he said in that clip was absolutely right. Trump was not prepared for the virus. Donald Trump must be defeated on Election Day. It's plain and simple. And as far as Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate, they need to be shown the door too, because they're standing in the way. Because of them, I may be stranded by cuts. All right, both from the MTA and from NICE and from Suffolk Transit, because they won't bail us out, even though they did nothing to protect us from the virus coming here in the first place. Thank you for watching, and take care.